Hey guys, let's get more news about Miami Heat, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Giannis was in a ballroom dribbling. Milwaukee Bucks throttle Miami Heat 125-96. Doc Rivers talks weird wait between Thursday and Pels postponement. Bunkered in New Orleans since Monday due to winter storms, the Milwaukee Bucks didn't even arrive at the Fiserv Forum until 5 p.m. Thursday for that night's game against the Miami Heat. Originally scheduled for 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, tip-off did not take place until 8:30 because of Milwaukee's late arrival. At first lethargic and out of sync, the home team walked away with a 125-96 victory after falling behind 18-3 out of the gate. Giannis Antetokounmpo recorded 25 points and 12 rebounds, while Damian Lillard put up 29, 9 and 11. Playing his former team, Gary Trent Jr. caught fire off the bench, hitting 7 of 10 threes for 21 points of his own. Really professional win tonight, it really was, Rivers said. Although the players hadn't palmed a basketball in 3 days, the Bucks coach emphasized that the team felt it was important to play the game at the scheduled time rather than postponing it. That said, it was a little weird getting back on a basketball court after being trapped in the twilight zone. You know, it's funny, Rivers continued. Everyone at halftime said they just didn't have any coordination with the ball. Giannis was laughing. You don't touch a ball for 3 days, you struggle a little bit. It must have felt odd indeed, likely explaining Milwaukee's sluggish start. By the end of the first quarter, however, they closed within 3, and from there they didn't look back. The bench unit took a hit when Chris Middleton was scratched just before the game for injury management concerns, ankle. Trent Jr. more than made up for his absence, though, and Bobby Portis contributed 16 points and 8 rebounds. Rivers credited his reserves for shifting the momentum early on, saying, "I thought that second group came in and really changed the tempo of the game, got stops. Gary Trent was absolutely amazing for us, Pat. But all those guys played well. That was as professional of a win as you can have. On the court as well, those two did the heavy lifting, business as usual." Despite the blowout, both players remained on the floor until Rivers subbed his starters out with 3:57 to go. Lillard led both teams with 36 minutes played. Watching the game, you would never know Milwaukee's plane had touched down just hours earlier, transported from a truly bizarre setting. It was weird, Doc admitted. Just sitting in a dang hotel room for 3 days with no basketball, nothing to do. I will say, the Four Seasons Hotel was amazing. All the employees slept there for 3 days themselves. They couldn't go home, they were snowed in, too. We got to know each other very well, everybody, because it was the same group of people walking around the hotel for 3 days. Giannis was in a ballroom dribbling. I mean, there was literally nothing to do. Unfortunately for the Bucks, there will be no home reprieve. En route to Los Angeles to kick off a 4-game road trip against the Clippers, the team will board another plane Friday morning. Rivers laughed. When I said, 10 a.m. flight, they looked at me like, what? Then TP, who would never say this, said, Coach, we just got off a plane. I said, what do you want me to tell you? It's a 4-5-hour flight, we need to get going. Lillard, Bucks overcome travel issues to trounce Heat 125-96. Damian Lillard had 29 points, 11 assists and 9 rebounds, and the Milwaukee Bucks overcame travel issues to beat the Miami Heat 125-96 on Thursday for their 5th straight victory. Lillard had appeared to get his 4th career triple-double before leaving with 3:57 remaining, but the 10th rebound that had been credited to Lillard was changed. The start was pushed back an hour due to the Bucks' troubles getting out of New Orleans, which had a historic snowstorm Tuesday. The Bucks' scheduled Wednesday game with the Pelicans was postponed, and their plane arrived in Milwaukee less than 3 hours before the start Thursday. Milwaukee's Giannis Antetokounmpo had 25 points and 12 rebounds. Gary Trent Jr. scored a season-high 21 points and shot 7 of 10 on three-point attempts. Miami's Jimmy Butler began serving a 2-game suspension for what the Heat described as a continued pattern of disregard of team rules, insubordinate conduct, and conduct detrimental to the team. Heat: Miami needed to play its best to withstand Butler's absence. The Heat, instead, couldn't slow down Milwaukee and failed to capitalize on the Bucks' late arrival to Milwaukee. The Bucks trailed 18-3 midway through the first quarter. But they still exceeded 120 points for a fifth straight game. Lillard scored 6 points in the final 1.1 seconds of the first half for a 71-55 lead. He was fouled by Duncan Robinson on a three-pointer and hit 3 free throws. After Ware threw away the inbounds pass, Lillard made a corner three. Both teams play Saturday. The Heat will be at Brooklyn, while the Bucks begin a 4-game trip at the Los Angeles Clippers. Jimmy Butler returning to the Bulls just became a real possibility. Each passing day brings new updates to Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat's downward spiraling relationship. Today's reports surrounding the situation claim that Butler's camp has reiterated once again that he is actively demanding a trade over the next 14 days and has opened his destination list. A few seasons back, Butler hinted at potentially finishing his career with the team that drafted him 30th overall in 2011. Since entering the NBA, he's played for 4 franchises, not leaving on particularly great terms at any of his stops. He's now considered one of the most outspoken and theatrical players league-wide, with his recent activities only adding to the growing case that he's more to handle off the court than he's worth on it. In a star-studded league, however, a postseason threat at his level would catapult any roster to immediate contention. What's the most realistic route to bringing Butler back to where it all began, and would Arturas Karnisovas take that level of risk? LaVine for Butler swap: the only way Karnisovas would be able to pull off a deal for a player who was once the franchise's blossoming star in Butler is to part ways with the current face of the organization. LaVine's 8 years with the club have been nothing short of a disappointment. During that span, he's earned 2 All-Star nods to Butler's 6, 1 playoff appearance to Butler's 6, 5 postseason games played to Butler's 83, and 0 All-NBA or All-NBA defense nominations to Butler's 10. Although Miami's star guard comes with plenty of baggage and attitude concerns, the resume speaks for itself and is something Chicago has sorely lacked since his departure. The trade would be reasonably simple if both sides were eager to execute. With both salaries being fairly close in value and each side having reason to push for a deal, it's not entirely asinine to believe it could come to fruition. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Jimmy Butler? Leave your opinion in the comments.